What's up, guys? No Leg requested this breakdown of this match. A little while back, Khabib just entered a local Naga tournament and had a bunch of fights. This is one of the fights that he had. So if you search up Khabib Nurmagomedov Championship Naga first, you'll see all the rest of his fights. So he starts the match with his opponent, and they just tie up here. Khabib has a very tight underhook with his right arm, and he uses that to try to get an inside sweep. They end up out of bounds. So here, if you can see, we should talk about that just for a second. So his opponent is going to shoot from way out of bound, way out of place. So there is such a huge gap. So all Khabib did was put his hands on his shoulders, kicked his legs back a little bit, and backed up. This would be also a perfect opportunity for Khabib to reshoot, but he's going to look to use some upper body takedowns in a second. So again, Khabib has an overhook, and watch what he's going to do in a second. So what Khabib is going to do is he's going to use his leg to hook behind his opponent's leg. He's going to use this underhook to drive his opponent over to his left, and he's going to use his hips to elevate him. So let's watch. Just like so. And then he ends up straight in side control. As soon as he ends up in side control, his opponent does a huge mistake by trying to wrap his arm just like so. So his opponent here should be framing on Khabib's hips right away to separate his body from his, and looking to get his guard back, or looking to find this underhook on Khabib's right side so he can come up to his knees and start to wrestle, etc. But because of this arm, Khabib is going to have a very easy time to go around his head and look for a Kimura on the forearm in a second. So here, now he's trying to fit that arm in, but he's not putting it correctly. And now Khabib is just going to start to circle around. And as he's circling around, he's going to find a Kimura on the opposite arm. His opponent uses his legs to try to hook Khabib's head, which is not one of the best ways to defend against the Kimura. Here, I'm actually not sure why Khabib lost it. He looked like he rushed it and tried to finish it quite explosively, and lost it on the way. So now his opponent regarded, and now I was watching this match earlier, and when I was watching it, of course I was watching it with sound on, and Khabib's corner was coaching him in Russian and was actually screaming to him to find his left underhook under his opponent's armpit. So this was interesting too, because Khabib earlier had the head, and now he's going to be looking for this underhook to start to flatten his opponent out. This is a way that Marcelo Garcia likes to pass, and a few other people like to pass, but usually I see it from Marcelo and his students. Now Khabib goes back to his shoulder pressure, and he's going to start to slide his knee out. So as he slides his knee out, he makes a little bit too much space, and now his opponent was able to regard. So let's back up a couple of frames. So right here, Khabib does a good job by sliding out, but now his opponent has his frame in the right spot, and he's going to use his elbow to get his legs back in the game in a second. So right here, there's just too much space between Khabib and his partner. Khabib wants to cover that space right away with either his hip or placing his knee right into his opponent's hip. But because of that gap, his opponent is going to regard. Khabib can also keep going around the head and try to go to north-south, or even to the other side. Or as his opponent regards, Khabib can jump over to the opposite side as well. But let's watch. So here, his opponent starts to bring that leg in, and Khabib is going to settle in this temporary position right over here. Now his opponent does a good job, because his bottom leg is trapped. It's hard for him to get a half guard. He's going to insert this hook to make space to get his bottom leg in the game, and then he's going to go into like a half butterfly. So now he used that leg to bring this leg back into the game right over here. So now he's playing half butterfly, but the issue with his opponent's half butterfly is that he just keeps it and he's not really using it. So with the half butterfly, you got to try to elevate. You have to try to create space. You have to take out the half guard leg to go to full butterfly. You got to try to sit the person up. You got to start to do hand fighting and trying to off balance the person in all three different directions, over your head, over to your side, and away from you, and looking for arm drags, for kimuras, for leg locks, whatever you can get. But his opponent is just going to kind of keep it, and Khabib is just going to start to smash through that position, as we're going to see in a second. So now Khabib is keeping his hips back. His opponent can start to sit up, and if he's in a seated butterfly, he has more mobility, but Khabib is pressuring forward, so it's making it hard for him to do. And now here Khabib is just, pressuring over his opponent's hooks. His opponent is looking for a guillotine, but it's quite hard to do it from that position there. And Khabib is going to just use his opposite leg to start to pass. So again, he starts to go. And his opponent is doing a good job by keeping his hook sticky and by following Khabib everywhere Khabib goes. But then Khabib runs around and right away goes to a front headlock. And his opponent follows him, and Khabib is now going to use that to go to his back. So right here, Khabib is on the same side as the head. He's going to start to fall back. Usually we tell the students in the classroom not to do that, not to blow out your partner's knees, but obviously in a fight, it's completely fine. It's hard to see if Khabib has his bottom hook, but he's going to start to look for his top hook, and let's see what is going to happen. Khabib comes off, and again, he's looking for the seatbelt, and he just keeps riding his opponent and following everywhere he goes. If you can see, Khabib's hip is right on top of his opponent's hip, and he's driving, and he's making it very difficult for his opponent to move, invert, try to spin out, etc. Now Khabib gets his right hook, and now he's going to switch. So initially, Khabib has his left arm around his opponent's neck, and now he inserts his right hook. Now, right now he has his right arm underneath the armpit, but for Khabib to break his opponent down in this direction and fall on the bottom hook, which is generally the side that you want to fall on, he's going to switch, and he's going to now grab his opponent's neck with his right arm. Right there. So now he goes with the right arm, and that's now going to enable him to fall over to our side right over here. As he was falling, however, he created too much space, and his opponent was able to come out, and now his opponent's coming on top of him. Khabib is now going to use that to re-guard. And it's quite funny that even, this was several years ago. Khabib was not I think he may have, either just gotten to the UFC or was about to, but, he's fighting, and he gets this guy's shirt caught in his pants. I thought that was a little bit funny. And this guy looks like he's from the Navy. He says, I think, Navy Jiu-Jitsu. So he might have been a Navy guy that was training Jiu-Jitsu on base, or I'm not sure. But he looks like he has some wrestling background, a little bit of Jiu-Jitsu. Right here, he has a really poor posture. His knees are too close together. His butt is off his heels. His head is down. As you can see, he has no posture whatsoever. Plus, he has his elbow right over here. So he's susceptible to pretty much every upper body attack. Khabib can look for guillotines. He can look for kimuras, triangles, omoplatas on the other side. He can start to drag the other arm across to go for the back. There's just so many things you can do once you have a poor posture just like that. Now his opponent starts to fix it. His base is getting a little bit better. But his opponent does not put his hands on his ribs, on his hips, on his armpits, and it's going to be really hard for him to get out of that. And Khabib did exactly that. So as soon as his opponent started to reach, Khabib is just going to parry that arm inside and throw this leg over the top to go for a triangle. And Khabib doesn't look like a very flexible guy, but I've seen some grappling footage of him in the past, and he has, really strong basics, really from the bottom, good triangles, arm locks, kimuras. You can find a lot of his footage from his sambo days on YouTube as well. So here Khabib has an underhook on the leg. His guard opened up, and he's going to briefly look for a leg attack. And his corner is actually screaming to do so, but now his opponent got up. So Khabib, instead of playing guard, is just going to use his strength, and he's going to scramble back up to his feet as well. Now they're in a standing position. Khabib does the same exact takedown as he did earlier, except he used less hip rotation. And now he's going to start to work the same pass. I really love watching guys like Khabib and others that just have such basic, simple jiu-jitsu and grappling, but, definitely works. And, you don't need any jazz or, anything too fancy to get the job done. So here, like some newer students, especially those that start to play with rubber guard, sometimes try this. And you know, if you have a good rubber guard, obviously you know what you're doing, and it can be really effective. But if you don't, then it's really hard. You know, so his opponent did not clear Khabib's head. Khabib's head is in his way, so there's no way he can use this foot to go for like an omoplata or something like that. If this arm was on this side, then he can pull his own foot right in front of Khabib's ear and start to turn to go for like omoplatas, like you know, 10 planet style. But from here, it's going to be impossible. And also, his bottom leg is no longer in the game, so now he pretty much doesn't have a guard, and he's going to get passed off that. So he's holding Khabib there for a second, but it's pretty useless to, you know, to waste too much time there. So now Khabib is going to go for the same kind of attack. He looks like he switched his hands, one over the hip, one over the shoulder, to try to go over his head. Again, looking for his kimuras, for his arm bars, back takes, back to the head. And now Khabib, you can see he's using this arm to block his partner's hip so that his opponent can't, or partner can't hip escape into him, can't turn into him. And now this arm he's going to pass over the top. This is also a classic setup for a north-south choke, but Khabib is looking for kimuras. Mounts on his opponent, and as soon as he mounts, notice as he's mounting. Let's rewind for a second. So as he starts to mount, this is a time that his opponent can turn to his left side and try to scoop Khabib's ankle. And it's also a good idea to try to use this elbow to start to put him right on the inside of his thigh so that he can plan his hip escape. Or you can start to put both hands on the hips to try to buck Khabib upwards and get one of his hooks in. And Khabib is going to use that. And now notice his opponent kind of tries to do that, but he's kind of too flat. His lower body turned, but his upper body didn't. And Khabib is just going to use his hand to cover his opponent's hand. He's going to just step over for a triangle. Or actually, he didn't even grab the hand. He just stepped over without. He grabbed his own shin, falls to his back, crosses his ankles. He's going to probably look to adjust this triangle. His opponent is doing a decent job trying to posture up. And now his opponent gets out, puts him into a double unders. Tries to pass off of his double unders. Now his opponent's looking for like his own kimuras and stuff, but he's, you know, Khabib has both of his hooks in the game. You know, the match is almost over, and time-wise, and his opponent is down on a lot of points, so it looks like he was going for some Hail Marys. Khabib regards. Now his opponent stands up. Now he did a really good guard opening, and Khabib just kicked him backwards and got on top of him. And that was it, guys. So again, there's several fights. I broke down one of them, and feel free to go ahead and watch all the others. Khabib is one of my favorite guys to watch. Unfortunately, his fight with Tony Ferguson just got canceled. I think this is the 6th time or something like that. So who knows if that would happen. You know, myself and many others were looking forward to that fight. But definitely, I really like to see some of the top guys and girls of today, and then go back and see 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 5 years ago, how they looked, what they were doing. And it's, you know, always pretty interesting, and you can see their evolution, and you can also see that they're doing the same thing 10 years ago as they're doing now, which is, you know, really cool to see as well. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed the breakdown. All the best to everybody. Hit me up with